Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this Sunday morning. I am now going to take you through chapter 3, and it is called Where to Next of my book, Been There, Done That, Still Not Bought the T-shirt. So, let us begin. As I've already mentioned, I decided a few years back to retrain into something different, as I had been in a few jobs where I was bullied. Do not feel sorry for me. It was life, and it needed to happen. In other words, I would never have moved on, experienced what I needed to do, good, bad, and indifferent, in order to reach this stage in my life. Bullying and going through awful experiences in this life we live is a hard pill to swallow. And even when you've gone through it, you will try to make sense of it. Why did these awful people think they have the right to treat others in this manner? What did I do to deserve such treatment? Why do I get to witness them being lovely to other people and downright awful to me? I have this idea in my head that we are living in a gigantic petri dish, and whoever each of us feels is up there looking down on us, helping us, guiding us, protecting us, are also there to nudge us. And although we have free will to do what we need to do, we are human beings. And when we are not progressing to our full potential, whomever you believe in needs to intervene for whatever reason. And sometimes drastic things need to happen in life in order for us to wake up and smell the salts and move on to better things. And I know what's going through everybody's head at the moment is, here we go again with law of attraction. So let's move on. Does that make it easier to have that notion in our heads when this shit happens? In its arse, does it? But hopefully someone out there may be reading this and realize either what is going on or getting closure for the shit and crap that has happened to them. Now let's be clear, folks. I would never, in a month of Sundays, go up to these assholes and shake their hands and say, thanks for putting me through that hell. But I am grateful that life, the universe, gave me the kick I needed to look at my life and realize I was nobody's dog's body. And I needed to take charge and to do something with my life and also to progress it to the next stage. After all, I wouldn't be sitting here writing this book had I not been through what I had and feel that I have something to offer and help people make sense of their own challenging experiences. I went to my husband and I told him I was done with my old working life and I needed to retrain and do something else. And he said to me, okay, so what do you want to do? I said I'd like to explore Reiki, the angels, and working with spirit. And he said, okay, no problem. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much with you and the details, as I fully accept the spiritual life is not for everyone, and I respect people's beliefs. But I will say this, I learned a lot about myself and about others. I thought the most powerful lesson was we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I learned a lot about my inner child, and it turns out I'm quite a good healer. Unfortunately, due to my health, I had to take a huge step back because it is a lot of energy work and I loved every part of it, but I couldn't give it my all. And I was taking way too much on personally. And in some ways, it was not bringing out the best in me. And in other ways, it brought out a totally different, incredible side of me. And I will always be grateful for that. I learned a lot, and I take that forward with me in my everyday life and in my ways when I am helping people. I still personally do a lot of my own healing, and I still use everything I was taught. I just prefer professionally do not do it at the moment. But who knows what the future will hold. One of the things I always wanted to do for years was to become a motivational speaker. I'd love to be one of those motivators who stand up in front of groups and motivate people into better ways and get individuals to look inside of themselves. And I want to help make a difference in everyday life. I'm sure you are asking, so why did you not just become a psychologist or a fancy-pantsy person with a big degree? Well, guys, because I was a disaster at exams. I chickened out of college because exams scared the living hell out of me. Oh, I could do projects, my homework. I could learn things quickly, retain information, details, and so on. But stick me in an exam room and you may as well have watched my brain turn to putty. People like me, and there are many, struggle with this. I contacted the motivational speakers in Ireland and I asked the question, how do I become a motivational speaker? And the answer, write a book. And before anyone has a feeling or the thought of this is the only reason I am writing this book, and then think back to the beginning and I did ask the question, why do I feel I have a right to write this book? My apologies. Well, my answer is simple. Why do just one thing? Why not kill 10 birds with one stone? And so, write the book on life that I've always wanted to write and become a motivational speaker. Oh, an attempt to make people laugh and look at life through a different set of rose-tinted glasses. So let's see. Can I tick those 10 birds? Write a book? Yeah, I'm in progress clearly at the moment, but by the end of the book, that bird will be ticked. 2, become a motivational speaker. I will need to check back on this one in a few years, but that bird will be ticked. 3, attempt to make people laugh. I'm going to hazard a guess it may have happened, so I'm going to tick this bird. Getting people to look at life through a different set of rose-tinted glasses. I am ticking this bird because the fact that you picked up this book, or in our case now that I've decided not to quite publish this book or not to publish it, you're listening to me instead. You're already willing to see a different perspective, whether you concur with it or not. Okay, so that was only 4 birds that got ticked, but hopefully it will all fall somewhere between Big Bird and an ostrich, and we'll all be fine. I've attended many seminars where I've had the privilege of listening to some incredible speakers, and well, let's just say other speakers where I have thought, if you're a motivational speaker and being paid to motivate me, this company has just wasted their money. Motivational speaking should be about making people's life better, easier, inspired to do something for themselves, helping them with difficulties, putting things in a way that it helps, not hinders, and do it with some jovialness in the speech. Make people laugh. It has a bigger impression. Oh, and when you're using PowerPoint, less words, more pictures. I had entered into a stage in my life where I was feeling that while I could do my job inside out, it was not giving me satisfaction because I wasn't allowed to think for myself. I wasn't allowed to make a decision. My thoughts were not valued. My ideas were only good if they came from someone else. And let me tell you, it happened a lot. I know there are those of you reading this and thinking, yep, that's my boss, always taking my ideas and taking the credit. Let me tell you a little story of running into a managing director of a company I used to work for. I was attending a barbecue of a beautiful person who became a lovely friend. And I came around the corner of her home with my husband, and I saw this man sitting there, and my face dropped. And I went over and I greeted him, and he remembered me, to my astonishment. And we were both in complete shock, as never in a month of Sundays would I have thought of running into someone like him, or even that he would remember me. As we got talking about life in the old company, he admitted to me that he often felt sorry for me, as the manager that I was PA for was challenging, to say the least, and that he, the MD, was fully aware it was me doing the work, covering his ass, and that he had taken credit for my ideas. Now, let me tell you, I did not cross paths with this MD on a daily or a weekly basis when I worked in that company. But to receive this recognition after all these years was incredible. And it somehow gave me closure. With the jobs I had been in, I always felt undervalued and that I was invisible. My heart was broken most days, and I think people knew my weaknesses because they stood out like a wart on the end of a very unfortunate nose. I definitely think this is the reason I wanted to become a motivational speaker. I hate seeing people undervalued, undermined, stuck in a rut, lights hiding under bushes. Imagine standing up in a room full of people and inspiring everyone to take themselves into a better position. I love these words from Brian Tracy. Leadership is the ability to get extraordinary achievement from ordinary people. Thank you, Mr. Tracy, for those extraordinary words. My ambition has grown substantially over the years because I finally ended up in a company where I am doing good work. And guess what? I'm actually seen. This company actually knows that I am a human being and that there is actual blood pumping through my veins, and that my ideas are worth listening to, and that I have value. This was a long time coming, and to be able to feel that after 20 plus years of doing a similar job was a breath of fresh air. What upsets me sometimes is even the thoughts that there are people out there living downtrodden lives, as I have been in previous jobs. It is so wrong. And I would prefer those people in management to stop and realize you are not the most important person in the company. You need support from everyone. Say thank you. Acknowledge jobs well done, and stop taking bloody credit for other people's ideas. A company works towards one goal, not individual own agendas. I have a saying that I often use and drop into conversation, hoping people will take a hint. Be careful whose ass you're kicking on the way up, because you will be kissing it on the way back down. I can honestly say I have no idea where I heard that originally from. And when I have Googled it, there are a few different versions of it. But don't worry, I still am taking no credit for it because I know I heard it somewhere. On saying all of the above, why should I feel that I can get up and motivate people? That I have anything worthwhile to say? That people will want to pay to hear what it is I have to say? So I guess the motivational people were right. Write the book and see whether the masses are ready to hear the humble opinion of a Wicklow woman who has fumbled her way through life, experienced all good and bad to this point of her 43 years upon earth. And more importantly, can she make people laugh through the pain and hurt? Well, one of my present colleagues did kindly inform me when I told him that I would love to do motivational speaking. And his response was, anyone that can take a health and safety training session and actually make it interesting and enjoyable and not boring should absolutely be a motivational speaker. I thanked him for his genuine compliment and returned my brain to the notion that yes, I can do this. To achieve what you really want, your brain needs the belief, your heart needs the passion, your soul needs to be listened to, as it will guide you. In the lovely words of Les Brown, who I thank most graciously, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. In case you are wondering why I am using other people's words, and it is simply because these are the words that have inspired me, and in order for you to understand me and give me a chance to take you on a journey of self-discovery and meeting yourself again and growing to like yourself again, it is important for you to see where my inspiration came from. It is also a great release and a happy place to go to if you have a saying that helps you through tough times. They become a comfort blanket. They are also great for when you are trying to inspire others, or if someone has come to you for advice and you need just that little extra something to put a situation into perspective. A very wise husband told me recently, people can only take from you what you allow them to. I've heard those words said to others and have had those words said to me many times over the years. But for some reason, until my husband said it to me recently, it wasn't that I didn't accept it from other people. It was more that it would frustrate me no end to hear those words, because at the time I couldn't separate the hurt that was being caused from my own responsibility at the situation in hand. While I was not responsible for the hurt and negativity that was being sent my way, I was indeed responsible for my reactions and emotions and how I handled their negativity, which was allowing them to remove my positivity and allowing them have the power to put me in difficult situations. And all because they had their own insecurities, which they had no idea on how to handle. It takes a very strong person who has figured this out to be able to stand up to these bullies and push back and even tell these people, I know you are doing this because you have insecurities. And the only way you know how to deal with them is to go after someone that won't stand up to you. Taking the above one step further, the other human problem we have is that we find ourselves in negative situation, whether it be relationships, friendships, work-related scenarios, or rude people skipping lines, that all past arguments and how we have been made feel get brought into the present situation, even if it was a comment that was made 20 years ago. Ladies, please be honest. We all do it. As I am not a man, I can't answer for you guys, but us women are notorious for not letting go of past situations. Because I know when I have found myself in these situations where the words ring through my head are, here we go again. As you sit reading this or listening to it, I am sure there are those of you laughing because you are not presently going through anything negative on this particular day. You are having a break from life's dramas, and life is okay, but you can still relate. Then I know there are those of you crying because you are going through negativity or are just out the other side, and this has just popped it all into perspective. Another thing I have found frustrating over the years is when I've given people advice and it was always follows with, you have to say that because you're my friend. You're just being nice. The thing is, I never did or do speak for the sake of speaking. If I thought you were out of order, I would have told you, or at the very least, taking feelings into consideration, got you to look at the situation and see where things didn't go quite according to plan. Telling someone point blankly, out straight, you are wrong. That was completely your fault. Seriously? You messed up. It's not as easy as you think, and harder when it's a friend or a colleague you actually like, because your immediate response is to be on their side and support them, no matter what. But sometimes situations cause you to have to tell someone they are out of order. If in future you find yourself in this situation, ask the person to walk you through the events, and in a nice way, get them to think about what took place. I think you might find you have better results. I have often found when I've been in difficult situations, it is because something sounded better in my head than when it came out of my mouth. It was not what was in my head in the beginning. Maybe the person standing in front of you has had the same issue. It sounded great in their head. Or maybe even you yourself have been there. I have found myself very frustrated when I asked for advice, gave it, and it wasn't accepted. And then someone else would give the exact same advice, and the person would then take the other people saying it instead of listening to me in the first instance, and maybe saving an awful lot of time as well. I've asked people in the past, why ask me for advice when you never take what I say, but you take it from others? The answer? Because it's you, and you're just being nice. Or, you're my friend, you have to say these things. Guess what? No, I didn't have to say it. I was only ever telling the truth. Another one of my learning curves that has finally sunk in after all these years is that when I speak with people about life, situations, offering advice, world politics, or whether laces should really be in shoes, the words I always use is, this is my opinion. Because at the end of the day, I can only give advice based on my opinion, my personal experiences, or what I have witnessed other people go through. Advice is a tricky thing. What works for one person may not work for someone else. And again, this is where arguments can happen. People forget at the end of the day, you can go to someone for advice and help. And if it doesn't work out, quick to blame the person who gave them the advice, instead of taking their own responsibility of standing back and saying, okay, so that piece of advice didn't work for this particular situation in hand. But that is not to say it wouldn't work for other situations. Or maybe I need to tweak it a bit for it to get the desired results for me. That advice could also have been given to you so that you know what not to do and to move on with something else. We shout loud about having free will when it suits us, but quick to forget when things do not go according to plan. Being human is a tricky experience. Life is all about growing and learning, regardless of how old we are. It does not matter whether you are 2 or 102. You learn all the time. People falling in and out, difficult situations, or just life in general is not dedicated to one age group. Some of the worst bitching and backbiting I have witnessed are people in sports clubs at retirement age. The forest is one of my favourite places to go, and I really feel the trees have a lot to teach us. And when I was doing my spiritual training, I did keep my own book of inspirational quotes, which I constructed myself. I will dig them out and use as appropriately, but I will not be using them all. I will, after all, require them for when I'm doing my motivational speaking conferences. But I will end this chapter with these words that are from me, that I wrote down on the 27th of December 2017. And they are: take notes and lessons from the trees. Ground yourself tightly to Mother Nature. Grow tall and strong through the center. Expand yourself in many directions. Blossom beautifully. And no matter how old you are, you always keep developing. Thank you, everybody, for listening to chapter 3 of Been There, Done That, Still Not Bought the T-shirt. Have a great Sunday. Bye.